like this, it's not actually like feces. It's just it's like puking, but on the other hand.
Like 14 seconds or so, what?
Yeah.
Oh. We're live now.
Like the turtles.
Okay.
Nothing that needs to be learned. Quarters.
We are recording and live, just.
Oh. Calling the meeting to order. 6:07. Emily, Kevin, Jennifer, Leah, Raymond, Brendan, and Julie. And our guest is Eli Duker. So can we have the, so I'm going to welcome anyone. Does anyone want to make a public comment? All right, and are there any modifications to the agenda? Is there anything that someone wants to bring up that we didn't get in earlier? Okay. All right, do we want to go right to the talk? And put Eli first, and then that's a modification of the agenda.
Right.
So Eli doesn't have to sit through all the business? Okay,
Sure,
let's do
sure.
that.
It's fine.
And then we can do the minutes. All right. All right, so let's welcome Eli Duker of Bard College and Just Air.
Well, hi everyone. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. As I have said in the past, I really love meeting with the Kingston CAC. It's always exciting and there's always really good questions. So I bet today is going to be the same thing. What I was thinking is that I know there are several different kinds of questions. One is about the new Hudson Valley Community Air Network that we've put together and the real-time data access to air quality data that we put together. And then there's the Kingston air quality report that just came out. So I was going to talk about those three things. Does that cover what you were expecting? Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. So can I share a screen? Is that possible?
You want to watch?
Okay.
Is it sharing screen? Oh, yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So before I get started on introducing you to the new elements that we have, I just wanted to show you kind of a flyer that we've been handing out to folks up and down the Hudson Valley, giving them the opportunity to do one of several or all of them if they would like, things to get them involved in managing air quality in the Hudson Valley. The first one is joining the BARD and Just Air platform. And that's something that I can help you do if you haven't already, and that'll be a part of my presentation. But again, this is the kind of thing where we've been trying to get this out to folks, and it would be great if the CAC would be interested in trying to do that as well. The second step is joining the Hudson Valley Air Quality Coalition monthly meetings that we've been having. There's actually one this Thursday at 5:30 p.m. They're always by Zoom. They feature folks up and down the Hudson Valley working on both indoor and outdoor air quality. We also are asking folks to host a Purple Air, which is the small, about the size of a soda can, air quality monitors that are they're cheap, but they're deemed even by the EPA. Well, the EPA before 2025 happened. as being really actually sources of really good information for community members, particularly when you're looking at ground level air quality. We're also asking folks to not only host a purple air at their home, but also to help sponsor purple airs at their home or at other places to be placed in areas that are designated as environmental justice priority zones. And right now we've got several BARD professors who are working on creating a map for us so that that can kind of direct us as we get information from folks across the Hudson Valley about where there are some really huge needs and gaps for air quality data. And then we're asking folks to help sponsor these purple airs to get them on the Just Air platform. And I'll show you the Just Air platform in a minute, and it'll probably make more sense. But for each of the sensors that we have up on the Just Air site, there is a licensing fee. About a week and a half ago, the CEO of Just Air, Darren Riley, came and spoke to folks in the Andy Murphy building. We also had, wow, it was like 3 days in a row of events, one in Poughkeepsie and Newburgh as well, where Darren talked to community about how the Just Air network was built. It is an environmental justice startup. It's a tech startup. And the folks that work at Just Air all are both computer scientists and interested in environmental justice, particularly around air quality. So it's a very unique group, and it's one that we're very proud of having established this connection with. So that licensing fee right now, and that's something that the city did agree to sponsor one of these purple airs. And that usually costs about $500. But because we took Darren to so many great places and Darren met so many good people in the Hudson Valley, Darren is currently working on a way to reduce that fee so that we can get more of the purple airs up. And hold on one second. I don't know why, but my child has decided to do the vacuuming right now. Hold on one second.
It's for like
Was-
five,
Isn't that what we voted on?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
but I haven't got an invoice yet.
Oh, okay. And
Sorry about that. You also got to see that I'm in shorts too, so so professional. Okay, anyway. All right, so yes, so Darren is working on reducing the cost. So we are hoping to have twice as many Just Air street level sites up soon, sooner than we thought. So anyway, that so this is the kind of thing that we're trying to push out to community to give them a sense of what the the new Hudson Valley Community Air Network is about, to help them hook up with the Just Air app so that they can start seeing their real-time air quality data, and also help folks that really want to participate more in this get in there with us. So help with more sensors, more and more sensors up on the Just Air site. Okay, any questions before I move on?
Eli, since we did commit the $500 and you're kind of negotiating that now, what do you want me to do about that at this point? Just wait?
So yes, wait. And so what I was going to suggest is that we spoke about which one to sponsor. And what I'd really like to do is get a street level purple air on the Andy Murphy building. So we've got both one up on the roof and one at street level, and be able to provide that. I think that would be a really important piece of information. So I'm hoping what happens is that he reduces the licensing fee enough so that that would cover a new purple air. If that makes sense. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna
if
wait.
not, we'll have to work out something else, but yeah.
Okay, great.
That makes sense?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, yeah. Darren's working on that. I think we're supposed to hear sometime next week, and so I will definitely let you know. So can you see the Kingston Air Quality Initiative
Yep.
page? Okay. So this is a page on the Center for Environmental Sciences and Humanities site, which is at BARD. I direct this center, it basically is the connection between faculty, staff, and students of Bard College and these community efforts around air quality and water quality. And I can't say this enough. Pretty much everything we've done with building this network across the Hudson Valley, and in establishing regular annual reports around air quality with Kingston in particular, has happened because students have had really great ideas. They've shared them, they've executed them, and this network has been built over the course of about 6 years now. So we've got Kingston having served as the very first city to allow us to put sensors on the roof, which you see here. And it's the first place that we were able to start providing public access to air quality data. And the more that I have learned over the course of the last 6 months about the sheer dearth of air quality monitoring in the Hudson Valley, this was a much bigger deal than any of us knew. So what Kingston did also is model for other communities across the Hudson Valley that it is possible to get data, it's possible to have air quality data that's not just a guess or a prediction, but to actually be able to have a sense of what the air quality is of your city and be able to use those data to take a look at what works and what doesn't in terms of maintaining good air quality. So the CEO of Just Air, Darren Riley, put it really well. He said, you know, when they first started in Michigan, so they started in Detroit, which is one of the worst air quality areas in the United States. They began with 5 purple airs, and they got them up on the Just Air site, and it was publicly available data. And within 2 years, they have over 150, I think, sites now across Detroit, and particularly and predominantly in areas that are known to have really poor air quality. And so what Kingston did is started that same thing. So we started with this one air quality site, and now we have over 45 sites at this time, 45 different kinds of sensors across the Hudson Valley. It goes from Bard College, Kingston to Poughkeepsie, and now down to Newburgh. And I kind of like to joke, that's the Hudson Valley. I don't know anything south of Newburgh, I'm not so sure. But anyway, that's so we have actually, and sort of, well, it's not accidental. It's because communities, students, faculty, and staff have been really smart about this. We have actually filled in a huge, what they're calling now, air quality monitoring desert. So there are, I think, over 55 million people across the United States that actually do not have any sort of air quality monitoring on any official level. So that be that national, state, or even municipal air quality sites and monitors. So when you take a look, there was a paper that just came out, I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, talking about these air quality monitoring deserts. And the Hudson Valley is a big open space that has nothing. And so I want to really point that out because, as usual, community is way in front of science. And it was through the request that the CAC made and Julie Noble's efforts to get us the space on the roof that actually has now made it so that the Hudson Valley is not as much of an air quality monitoring desert as it could have been. So I think that's a really big deal, and everyone should pat themselves on the back. Okay, so what you see here is the Kingston Community Air Quality Report. We've annually we released Kingston air quality analyses since I think 2021 or 2, I can't remember. And this year we partnered with the Hudson Valley Air Quality Coalition to produce what they're calling as the Community Air Quality Report. So it's something that's supposed to mimic or I guess mirror the annual drinking water reports that we receive from the city. So now we're going to know about our air and our water. And this report, if you read through it, I mean, it's really pretty. I only have a marked up version. They went like hotcakes, so they're really nice. And we may do another printing if we can find some funding for that. But also online, it looks fine as well. This report is both an educational piece and how are we doing with our air in Kingston report. And I'm not going to go through it with you right now. I'm going to let you take a look at it when you have a chance. But it's something that really hopefully helps folks understand just what a big deal it is, what we did in Kingston. It shows a history of over time. I really love this. So starting in 2020, we started 2020 in January. We put it up there. Julie said, please don't kill anyone. It cannot fly off the roof. I said, no way. It's never going to happen. The next day, we had the biggest windstorm I've ever seen in Kingston. And I stood there and held onto it with a rope to make sure that no one got hurt. This is how it started, right? And that's total community stuff. I think I was also on a board meeting for the Hudson River Watershed Alliance at the same time. So and you can see, you know, we started out in 2020. It always takes a bunch of years to figure out what actually is what the city produces versus air quality challenges that come from other areas. Of course, 2020 proved to not be a normal year. That is where the COVID shutdown really demonstrated what happens when a community together decides to adhere to a policy and follow through. But then you see in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, you're starting to get a sense of kind of the, I don't know, it's like, I mean, it is the breathing of the city, but the air quality of the city. And you're starting to see trends that show, okay, this is maybe what is normal for the city. And then we see some bumps, and particularly in 2023, 2024, we see the advent of some pretty huge Canadian and West Coast fires and the plumes of that smoke coming in and changing our own air quality. Also, we see really obvious ways that we as a community can make collective decisions to affect our air quality. Of course, we all love to celebrate 4th of July. I was running around with my kid trying to find the best place to see them this time. They were beautiful. But we can actually, because of our collective decisions, we can change our air quality. And this last year, I got to watch that air quality change using the Just Air platform. And I got to see it change, not just in Kingston, but also in Poughkeepsie and also in Newburgh. So we're not the only community that does that. So anyway, the findings that we made in in 2024 is, for one thing, our air quality improved from 2023. And we think that that may have mostly to do with the amount of wildfire smoke that we experienced. I don't know if you remember in 2023, it was really, really bad, very hazy. It was a very obvious crisis in terms of air quality. We did not have those kinds of events, and they did not last as long if they did occur in 2024. But we need to take a closer look at that and see what made our air quality better in 2024. We also discussed the difference between comparing our air quality to what the World Health Organization says is too much, which is here, versus what the EPA says is too much. And I think that's a very interesting conversation, particularly as we see the EPA's air quality regulations be rolled back, and we really don't know if we can rely on the EPA anymore. So the second big thing I think we found, and I presented on this with you all earlier as a sneak peek, I remember, it is that during really bad air quality events, the air quality at street level is always much higher or much worse than what we're measuring at the rooftops. And so that makes it, we're very interested then in trying to spread our capacity to look at street level air quality throughout our neighborhoods. Any questions on that? Well, there's plenty of time for questions. Okay. So then let me, I'm not going to take you through the whole presentation here that I gave at all these different events, but I do think these can be really helpful just to make sure that everyone's on the same page about what we actually have done. So the network of air quality monitors that we have across the Hudson Valley, we are now calling the Hudson Valley Community Air Network. It is a compilation of the 4 major rooftop sensors that we have, as I said, on top of Bard's Library, Stevenson Library, here in Andy Murphy Building, on the Adrian's Memorial Library rooftop in Poughkeepsie, and at Mount St. Mary College in Newburgh. We have those 4. Those are kind of our core regional sensors. And then we have between 30 and 35, maybe 30, 40, purple air units that are either up or planned to go up across the Hudson Valley. And those are all at the street level, so that they will be giving us a better idea of neighborhoods across the Hudson Valley. In Kingston and Ulster County in particular, the county has gotten very excited about this effort and really wants to add to the community air network, and has plans to purchase and distribute, I think, 18 to 20 new purple airs to areas specifically in Ulster County that are missing any sort of monitoring. And I do think some of that is near Kingston. I'm not really sure exactly where it is, but if folks are interested, let me know and I can give you a sense of where the county is looking to put sensors up. The county also has put up 4 other purple airs at street level in the city. Those include on Linear Park. And as you probably remember, the Hudson Valley Library Air Quality Network is a part of this community air network, and we have 18 different libraries up and down the Hudson Valley that are currently hosting and want to continue hosting purple airs at their sites. So you all know that, so the Center for Environmental Sciences and Humanities, I say this all the time, it's really important to remember. Basically, this center is a place where we connect academic endeavors with the endeavors that are necessary to keep our communities environmentally safe. And so basically what we're doing is we're bridging the fact that the staff, faculty, and students of Bard College are actually, they are community members. We live right here in the Hudson Valley. We breathe the same air, we drink the same water. And because of that, it isn't just that we want to do research on these water and air quality efforts, but we also are interested because it's our air and our water. We're drinking it, we're breathing it. And so by bridging that, what we're doing is synergizing work that needs to happen in terms of teaching our students with work that needs to happen for expanding our capacity to make good decisions on a community level about air and water quality stewardship. And we think that, and the reason why we do this, there's many reasons, but the main reason is that we think it's the only way to address our environmental problems, the ones that we call wicked. And I'm sure you all have heard this term before. Wicked environmental problems basically describes the problems that do not have clear or easy solutions, which is basically every environmental issue. And also in particular, has issues that seem diametrically opposed. For instance, we would like to have clean air quality, but people need to drive to work. Those kinds of things are in conflict, and they make for very wicked. It's just very wicked to try to address them in a way that helps people still make the money that they need to eat while also protecting our air quality. So we think that we need all of those people and all of the disciplines that we have, not just the dominant science that I practice, but also we need social scientists, we need psychologists, we need artists, we need those students to be participating in trying to solve these issues. So the center has established a network both of water quality and air quality sensors and groups up and down the Hudson Valley. This basically shows it's a very general map of where we have actually established both water quality and our air quality efforts in the Hudson Valley. And we do most of that work through the Bard Community Sciences Lab. The Community Sciences Lab, which we call the CSL, you've heard about it before, is the spot where it's not just a physical space on the third floor of Rose Hall at Bard College, but it also is something that is in everybody's minds as we try to address these issues. We call it sciences because we're not just looking at dominant science, we're also trying to privilege and also remind folks that we all as humans have very sensitive monitoring organs, which are called our noses and our ears and our mouths and our eyes. And those are observation equipment that we really should be paying more attention to. Um, so I've talked a little bit about that. We think we're good monitors. We also think that humans are a good species to be trying to save. We don't just have to do the whales and the trees, and we want to privilege community knowledge and intuition. So we can actually have climate resilience because when the power goes out, my air quality monitors are not working. I'll tell you that right now. So what are we going to do then? Okay, so we monitor air quality because it is such a big threat to human health, as you all know, and it's also it is the second most common cause of death. It's second only to heart disease, and the problem is that much of the heart disease fatalities are also connected with the extent to which people are exposed to bad air quality. So what we're talking about is possibly the most important environmental health safety piece that there is, right? So we know that air pollution affects us in many different ways. It can affect us in very short-term ways, and it can also affect us in very long-term ways, right? And the short-term effects that are being tracked more and more, we're learning, can be very detrimental. So it's not just that you're exposed to chronic times of bad air quality. It can be that you're only exposed to really bad air quality for a day or two, and you can have real long-lasting health implications, and we're still learning about that. Okay, so here's the paper that I was talking about. Oh, it's 50 million. Sorry, I added 5 million there. So it's 50 million people in the United States do not know what their air quality is like through any sort of official channels. And so the green is where the air monitoring is happening. And here's the Hudson Valley right there. So, so it was y'all. It was the Kingston CAC that was like, wait, how do we know if we're doing anything to help our air quality? How do we know if all these sustainability efforts are actually working? Your questions and your need for science to have the data to be able to decide those things is what has made it so that this Hudson Valley actually is not totally a desert for air quality monitoring. So this is all about the regional air quality sensors that we have, the library air quality network. And so now, finally, here it is. So if you haven't signed up for Just Air yet, I don't know if this is showing up big enough on your screens, but you can take your phones, aim it at this QR code right here, and you should be taken to justair.app. You can also just put that into your phone, Justair, JUSTAIR.app, and it will take you to the place where you can sign up for this network. So once you sign up, it's going to ask for your phone number. That is because, and this is the most important and exciting part of all of this work that we've done, partnering with Just Air, you can sign up and favorite different monitors across the Hudson Valley. And as we add more and more street level sensors, it'll get even more and more fine grained. You favorite the ones that you want to hear about, and you will get texts based on the level of air quality that you ask it to send you texts on. So for instance, I asked the Just Air app to let me know when the air quality was nearing or beyond moderate and nearing unhealthy for sensitive groups in Kingston. And I got a text at about, when was that? I think it was 9 p.m. In Kingston on 4th of July night. So this is the kind of thing that you can actually say, I want to know about my air quality. Please let me know when it's bad. And then also I got text that next morning saying it's all clear. So you find out not only when your air quality is something that you need to be thinking about in your daily life, and protecting yourself and your kids and your elder folks and your real young folks that are the most vulnerable to these situations. And it will tell you when it's nice out and go out there and breathe as much air as you want. This is the kind of public access that we all like. It isn't about everything is horrible, we need to go to Mars. It is about us figuring out how we find joy while also trying to advocate for a healthier planet. So if you sign up, you give it your telephone number. Once you get into it's not actually an app, it's actually a web site. Um, but what you do once you get in there is you take a look around. So it basically will give you usually a map to take a look at, and you can look physically through that map to find the Hudson Valley, and you'll see our 4 sensors there. Those sensors will be displayed with dots that are the color of the air quality that we're currently experiencing. And then when you click on those dots, you will be able to see real time how the air quality has been changing for the last day. So and then once you find the monitor, so I of course am a data geek, and so I've favorited every single monitor we have. But if you want to just favorite Bard College or Kingston, you click on the little heart up in the upper right hand corner, and then you will start receiving texts. Our default, if you don't change it, the level that at which you want to be texted, our default is moderate, because we have a lot of folks in the Hudson Valley, particularly who are a part of the Hudson Valley Air Quality Coalition, who are very sensitive, and even moderate is a problem. So are folks able to get on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can send you the link.
So
Oh.
if
I hate technical.
if you do have technical issues, you can go to the bard.sesh.edu, and I can show it to you in a minute, where we have we have really quick instructions, and then we have instructions for people like me who need a little bit more help in figuring out how to navigate these things. And I'll show you that in a minute. All right. So what you'll see on that Just Air network there is that we have the 4 regional sensors, the ones that are on the rooftop. Those are the ones that we have up and running. The reason for that is a very easy one, is that we are a very tiny little academic outfit with the Center for Environmental Sciences and Humanities, and we put in our all in terms of our labor and as much budget as we can spare into this. And now, I think it's a really appropriate thing, now we're putting this out to the community and saying, hey, if you find this something that is useful, if this is something that you want to continue, if you want to know more about, we need the community to step in and start helping put out more sensors, helping us get them onto the Just Air platform. And also, as our network grows, we are also a very small staff. So we are also going to start needing community members to volunteer, data geeks like us, to be able to help us when a purple air goes down at a site that's near them. And so we're going to be starting to work on that as well. Because this is a community effort, it is a community air network, and we think that through engaging even more with the community and leaning into that aspect, we can actually create climate resilience. We can actually create a community that has the education around air that most communities do not. All right. The reason why we're doing that, and the reason why we've done this Hudson Valley Community Air Network, and we think it's so important to have real-time, publicly accessible data available, is because we don't actually think that it was ever the EPA's job to be walking with us through our communities and figuring out where there's good air quality and where there's bad air quality. That job actually was always ours. And unfortunately, we kind of forgot that and well, I'll speak for myself. Growing up in the 70s, I was like, okay, we got the EPA. We got that taken care of. Okay, I'm going to go and enjoy all the national parks, right? What we didn't do is remember that we are the stewards of our air. We are the stewards of our water and our land. There is no way a national entity, even when it is operating and funded, can serve that role. And so this air quality monitoring network is really about helping us learn how to be good stewards. So we have decisions to make as community members. We have decisions about how much how much does air quality matter to us? How much do we want to do to change our air quality? And how can we understand better how to protect ourselves from times when wildfire smoke from other places or ozone from the city challenges our air quality? Is there anything that we can do? So what that means too is that this air network is never, and it's not ever meant to be a regulatory tool. It is a tool to help the public understand what their air quality is doing at a given time. It is not that it can't also be used as data. So one of the things that's really cool about the Just Air network is that you can download historical data, and they support you downloading a bunch. But if you need like years and years, then they send you to us and we help you get those years and years of data. But the data are publicly accessible. They are our community's data. So we can use those data to answer questions we might have. For instance, in Poughkeepsie, we have been running the air quality monitoring there for almost a year now. And there are some big questions around how the incinerator there is affecting air quality. And those questions are relevant to plans to possibly expand the incineration that is happening at that plant. Finally, now the community has data that they can take a look at to make some decisions, and make decisions not only about whether or not they want incineration, but how much and how often and when. So the data that we provide is not meant to be regulatory, and you'll find that there are folks at the state level in particular that will tell us and tell you that our network is not as, what is it the DEC said in the Times Union article? They said that the sensors that we were providing data from were not as accurate as theirs, which really cracked me up, because of course they're not. We don't have that kind of money. That's the DEC's job, not ours. And we would hope that there are times when we find places that are hotspots, when we call up the DEC and ask them to bring in their big, beautiful, expensive gear and do their job for the community. So I showed you this already. There are many things that we're sharing both in the Kingston report, but also across the Hudson Valley, asking folks to share with their neighbors and friends, asking folks to educate themselves around air pollution and air quality, asking them to pay attention to their municipality's rules that are or are not addressing air quality and do something about them if they're not helping or they're not enough. And I know that I'm the big bummer that always shows up talking about this, but we've got to stop burning wood, particularly recreationally. I've told you how it's really hard to say these things because I really love s'mores, and I grew up being a proud fire starter, even in the rain. But it does contribute the most PM 2.5 to our air in the Hudson Valley, particularly the recreational wood burning, and particularly in dense areas like Kingston. So lastly, I think we have to, as communities in the Hudson Valley, we have to come to grips with the fact that the NSF, NOAA, NASA, and the EPA, all of them have been slashed. We have no idea of whether or not these institutions that we have relied on for data around climate change and around air quality, we have no idea if they're going to be able to help us at that level anymore. And so we are on our own. But the cool thing is, what we're developing with the Hudson Valley Community Air Network is something that no political entity can really touch. It's a community effort. It's a diversified effort. We're trying to also diversify the funding. So those kinds of things aren't actually left to the whims of political folk, particularly on the national level, which has been the problem with EPA all along. So that's what we've been doing. The Hudson Valley Community Air Network is really seriously because Kingston decided to get involved in this way. And so now the last thing I'm going to do, and I am a professor, I'm sorry, I'm probably taking way too much time, is show you on the sesh.bard.edu website here, Center for Environmental Sciences and Humanities, is which I really love this webpage, not just because I designed it, but also because I think it's really a great display of just how much we've accomplished since 2020. So on this page, you'll see buttons here. You can click there to join the Hudson Valley Community Air Network through the Just Air app. So that's the quick way to get on Just Air. And then here it is, Emily. I think that was you.
Okay.
Need a bit more help? Click here for step-by-step sign up. So this will, you click there, it's going to help you. It's going to hold your hand a little bit. And then the last button, which is new for us, is click here to host or sponsor an air quality sensor near you. We are also, so if you click on that, it'll give you a form where you can sign up. It also describes the efforts we're making to really take a look at the communities that actually have air quality monitors versus those that don't, and trying to redistribute resources a little bit. So yeah, I mean, and here you got your own Julie Noble, Lorraine Farina, who used to be on the CAC. We got Jen Mesker talking about the Hudson Valley Community Air Network. So there's a lot of folks that are really excited about this work. And again, Kingston started it. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to bore you with right now. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts or requests for the next time I show up?
So are the purple airs, they are sending data all the time?
Yes, so the air quality monitors that are on the rooftops, I think they send them every minute. And basically what Just Air does is it grabs those data streams and it does quality assurance and quality control on those data streams, and then provides what you see on their website, which basically is showing, I think it's every hour, how the air quality index is changing, trying to make it accessible to community members. Purple airs are the same way. The cool thing about purple airs is you don't actually have to have them on the Just Air network to be able to see real-time data. Purple Air has its own map and it has its own display of real-time data. The problem with the Purple Air network, though, and the reason why we are trying to get as many as we can up on the Just Air network, is that you cannot access historical data unless that is your Purple Air, which is a real problem because it is really useful if you happen to be looking at the Purple Air network at the time, but if you're not and you want to go back, you can't see historical data. And when you ask Purple Air for those data, they charge you, which can often be outside of the capacity of community members, and is a real deterrent for folks being able to have access to their historical data. So that's why we love Just Air Network. Also, Just Air Network is taking a look at all of the data streams and making sure there's not something weird going on with the data. And those can happen all the time, particularly with these tiny sensors like the Purple Airs.
Is it the case that if, you were saying there were like 28 purple areas that are not already part of the network, if we if people sponsor those and put those on Just Air, does that give Just Air access to the historical data from those? Okay.
Yes. So basically, if you start up new with a whole new one, Just Air will have all your data and it will do the quality control on those data and hold that for you in perpetuity. So you will always have access to it, and other folks across the Hudson Valley or anyone that signs up on this Just Air network can have access to those historical data for free forever. If you do have a Purple Air, which is most of ours, which have been up for some of them for years, some of them for 20 minutes, who knows? We have been working with Just Air, and they can actually, because we own those, they can then access through Purple Air all the historical data.
Cool.
But it does mean that whoever owns the sensor has to give permission to
Okay.
allow Just Air to grab that.
And then Just Air will go back and retroactively do all the data cleanup for
Yeah,
the.
yes, they will absolutely backfill for us.
Is it the same? I know it was going to be $500 for the one on top of the anti feed. It measures like 3 different levels of pollutants, right?
Yeah.
If
Yes.
if like Joe Bob up in Woodstock has a little purple area that just measures one thing, is it also $500 to get that one
It's
on?
whatever stream. So it's actually a really cool way to do this. So we have, there's capacity. If we had all the money in the world, which is fine. If anyone knows how to get us that, it'd be great. You can have really fancy, we use QuantAQs on the rooftops, which are one of the best air quality monitors around. And some of them can actually measure things like, the precursors to acid rain, like NOx and SOx. They can look at ozone, right? There are other things that you can measure, and as long as it's the same sensor feed, they don't charge you extra. So if you have something that's multi-parameter, you could have 6 different streams of data coming through, and it's the same price.
All right.
Thanks.
Any questions? All right.
Thank you, Eli.
Absolutely. And Emily, if you still can't get on there, just email me and I can help you out. Okay.
You can get on it.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eli.
Bye.
Thanks, Eli.
That's me to donate. Okay, well, that was good. So do we have any next steps for this that? It's just really awareness and. Or get on
We could
just
potentially help with some kind of awareness campaign to encourage people to sponsor these purple areas.
And then I don't know, are there specific areas of Kingston that it would be good to have these street level air quality monitors? I mean, I know there are, but would that be something people would be interested in?
Oh, I thought that he said Bard College faculty were mapping things. Is that what he said? I thought
In
he
terms
said,
of where more of these sensors should be placed.
yeah, that's what I heard him say. But maybe I misunderstood
Well, they might be,
because they know where the EJ
yeah,
areas are.
that might be
So
it,
they,
right?
but they're definitely, for that, or like, I don't know what other big sources of pollution are. I like the idea of the waste incinerator in Dutchess County.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I would say highly traveled roads, places where people idle,
yeah,
Yeah,
traffic areas.
yeah.
with I don't know, the planning department, do they have like data for how highly trafficked roads are? Is that a thing the city knows?
Only if for a specific project, we had to hire a firm to put down like those black.
Uh-huh,
And that's only a snapshot. That could change over time,
Yeah,
so
Or like-
holistically, the answer's no.
yeah.
okay,
Probably even the county doesn't have that really.
great.
They might have like accident data and stuff like that.
Right, we have accidents.
Yeah. Or not. That doesn't mean it's highly traveled.
Right. I was just thinking, you know, what Sash is doing is awesome. If we could bring even more hyper local knowledge to this project, I think that could be good.
Mhm.
But like Eli probably knows everything that we would know.
Yeah, we could follow up with them on that.
Yeah.
You could,
Yeah, I can.
I wonder, it's beyond our jurisdiction, but it obviously it benefits our, not just us, but to try to expand what this network does or where it's active. And so it looks like the northernmost point is Bard, and on the side of the river, it's Kingston. So if there's anything that we could do sort of to help lead the way in helping other communities adopt this, like if he wants us to talk to people in Woodstock about our experience or explain the experience, you know, what has happened here, how the investment is working out, then that seems like a way that we could be pretty useful in strengthening the network without actually having to spend a lot of money. It's just
Right.
our time and our effort.
Is there a way that there's so to have thinking of areas that connect to other areas like bridges or roads in particular that go between either counties or cities?
That's an, yeah, let's put a double air on the Kingston Rhine Cliff Bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that,
Like, well, I'm also thinking, our just, there was a big press release yesterday, we just were gifted this sort of odd real estate portfolio in Hudson. So we now own a bunch of, well, not now, but we're gonna, once all the legal things are worked through, we'll have all these buildings up there and we could expand the network up to Hudson.
yeah.
That'd be great.
Well, it also seems like he was working with the library, so even just getting like a Saugerties library or Palinville library, but Catskill library, it would, you know, move things forward. I like the bridges rather. Okay,
Okay. Okay, so well, one of the things that I'm also thinking about is like, I think it's so amazing that there's been this baseline over the past 5 years for the Kingston regional air quality. But like if what he's saying is true and that there are, you know, certain street level things where the air quality is much worse, it might make sense for us thinking into the future. Are there areas in Kingston that are going to be changing, maybe because they're being developed, maybe like the business park or something, where we're going to, it would make sense for us to think about developing a local baseline somewhere so that we can track changes in the future. And that'll give us the data that then we can take to places like Woodstock and say like, not only is it helpful that we have a baseline and that all of our citizens are getting air quality updates, which is super helpful. So we can say like, this is the change that we've seen for the better or for the worse because of, you know, whatever development policies the cities put in.
Yeah, so for example, well, it's outside Kingston, Enterprise West, like the toll tech city thing. It'll be interesting to see.
Totally.
But I think like down in the Rondout, there's such a varied use of that space. So sometimes you have these big festivals and you have food trucks coming in and out. And so I assume that there's a great variance in the street level air quality based on that kind of activity. And that's probably not going to change. I mean, that area is going to continue to be used in that way for public events. And I don't think we have a good sense of what that looks like for people's health.
Right. That could make sense, especially if new housing is being built in the future.
You know, so just boat traffic going through there.
yeah,
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But that would be, if you had one of these on the bridge, you would get the barge views.
On the Rondout, the Birch Street Bridge?
Yeah, on the Birch Street Bridge or on
Yeah.
the Kingston Rhine Cliff.
Yeah, either or.
That would be interesting to see.
you know, the railroad track, how about railroad? Are they, they're not, are they polluting?
Are they less electric?
Right,
Yeah.
Usually diesel.
Yeah, and those, I think the, you know, the canisters they have full of whatever flammable gases, those are always leaking
no,
tons of noxious fumes.
yeah, the tanker trucks.
Right, I mean, that would actually, so that's one of the things that they've, you might know Scott Kellogg, who's like a part-time adjunct professor at Bard, but he runs the Radix Ecology Center in Albany. He had been working with he and his wife had been working together. She's a professor, one of the colleges up there, to do a local air quality study for this one street that has a lot of diesel through traffic. And like the asthma rates for kids there is like 4 or 5 times what you find even a couple blocks away. So they've been doing all these air quality studies there, and then they found that there's also the train traffic that takes in a bunch of this oil, puts it on a tanker, is right next to this, very impoverished neighborhood.
Right,
And, yeah, there's this elementary school there and, at peak times, they're getting, even though the daily average is probably below the EPA standard, there are peak times where all of these pollutants are so far off the charts that it's extremely hazardous to these kids' health. But they've created this whole awareness campaign around that and now getting things done. My thought there is we have those same trains coming through Kingston. I don't know if they're stopping over for as long as they do in Albany.
yeah, because they're unloading, they're probably unloading in Albany.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right, but they're here, you know. And they
Yeah,
have, I mean, been proven by citizen science to cause significant problems in all.
yeah, so something like, near, Penn Court, or right, where the railroad, somewhere at the Kingston Housing Authority, near the railroad.
Nothing stops here.
No,
Yeah.
No, yeah.
So in Albany, they have to switch out their engine trains in,
right,
near Rensselaer.
okay,
Yeah, that's when
Yeah.
all like the Northeast basically switches out their engine trains for some reason. I'm not exactly.
oh,
sure.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
but they all stop there.
they never stop here. That happens.
Right. Yeah, they used to stop to get their Dunkin' Donuts, that's right.
Right. Really?
Yes, really.
Something special about
They closed off all the roads and they've been stopped by the Dunkin' Donuts on the overpass on Broadway. It used to be there right. on the
Oh,
overpass.
right, this down on the top area, yeah.
And they, and they closed, and that meant that traffic was stopped because there's no way to get around except
Yeah.
for the Broadway. So they, they
Hmm.
were told they couldn't do that anymore,
Hmm.
but they did. So,
You know, incident with the fire chief.
yeah, the fire chief was at Dunkin'. Getting,
I don't know that we need to discuss this.
So I think it would be.
anyway, yeah,
I would love to potentially, I mean, just kind of awareness campaign and maybe we can try to connect with some people, find some areas that seem they need the most study, and then maybe we see if we can connect some people to sponsor that. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of businesses in the
We
wrong.
could also offer, to Eli, if he wanted to do, I mean, I say he has no, he probably doesn't need our help for this, but we could still offer, if he wants to do some kind of presentation to other communities around here, like we could give him a room and be here as well to sort of answer questions for what the city's experience has been like and just invite our neighbors from Woodstock, Saugerties, this.
We could go to the Ulster County UMC meeting.
I know, I was thinking about that. Yeah. That would be a start. Yeah, okay, so is there any task you want to have for next time?
Well, is this something that maybe we can talk about in the open issue discussion? There was something else I wanted to bring up that
Yeah.
could fit in well.
Okay, yeah, because we need to move along. So, okay. So we do need to do the minutes and then but Julie also, I don't want to get pushed for the CFAs. Right, so, and is Brendan supposed to give his talk too?
I am happy to do that at another time.
Yeah.
I brought all the things to do it. I can do it, but maybe we could push it to the end so we can get through everything
Okay.
first. And then if we have time, I can give you guys the gist.
All right, so how about the minutes? So these,
I made one change since I sent it out last night. I just noticed that there was some numbering that went askew somewhere along the way between May and July. So I changed that. That's done.
thank you for doing that, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, on my way here and it's on.
That was probably like me doing track changes or something.
Yeah,
It's really easy to screw up the numbering, so
whatever it is, it's done. So,
good.
and everything, I got Julie's edits and your edits. And I don't know if anybody else had it. It's, yeah,
So yeah, because these were from May, not June.
right.
So motion to accept, Or
I
do you want to read
motion to accept these minutes, that's great.
Second that.
it? Okay, all in favor?
I,
Okay, so we do, okay, we don't have any council member appointments. Do we have any appointments? No, no action there. Okay, Kevin worked hard with our input on Penny Court. And it's 206, 208. So before we skip down, is there anything on any of the other ones, Kevin?
I don't think they put I think they're really busy on Payne Court. That is like a special meeting that they're having tomorrow, so the answer.
And is that's tomorrow?
I think that's tomorrow, yeah, the night.
At what time? I mean, is
I guess 6 and.
it's like a regular,
Yeah, well, it's a special meeting, but.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the evening. Okay.
Right.
All right, so, we went ahead and sent the letter, Ken went ahead and sent the letter, so we just wanna memorialize that the letter was sent to the planning board. To the planner, city planner, and copy to the mayor. And we talked about. Did anyone read the letter that, I'll just, did you have a chance to look at the letter? Because
I
otherwise,
did not.
yeah, so it was, Jen and the urban forester put in information about other types of plants that they could use, and some that were gonna be cut down or not cut down. And then we commented, it didn't seem like, let me see. We also commented about the New York stretch code, which Kingston has a New York stretch code, so they have to follow it. That's about my extent of knowledge on that, but
They omitted a reference to it.
yeah.
That's
So,
why I put to the extent that it's being
Yeah.
followed.
right,
It wasn't clear to the county and it wasn't clear to me.
yeah, so they have to follow it,
Yeah.
because,
Right. So
is it not using any kind of fossil fuel or, anyway? No. But, so hopefully we made that point and we commented on the trash because they always kind of say, oh, there'll be bins here. And sometimes they just act like there's one receptacle, when in fact, there needs to be room for more. You just don't put it all in. So we just tried to mention that. Was there anything else that was?
I did the perfunctory shippo review, Joe Diamond archaeological review.
Right,
Because the site is next to a landmark place, Rocco, that has cultural resources, so they checked off EAF boxes for cultural resources, but they were on the adjoining site, not on the site itself.
I said,
And then, so I think it's older than 50 years, but SHPO made no significance determination on volume gardens.
yeah, Chicago's state historic.
Historic preservation.
Okay, great. So we sent that letter went out yesterday.
I literally hit the send button when you email me.
Yeah, that's good. So it was supposed to be in at about 2, so
Yeah, you were a minute late and.
that's okay.
Burping it down, sure.
Okay, all right, so nothing on these other ones.
Not yet. Something could come up, in which case, we'll be doing what we just did on Penn Court, utilizing that resolution we had. Oh, do we need a memorializing resolution, or do you think we're good? With the,
Just putting in the minutes.
yeah,
I think it's good enough to put in the minutes.
so we don't need a memorializing, just memorialize it in the
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask really quick about Millennial Gardens. That's a Kingston Housing Authority
Right,
project.
right.
Does that mean
Okay.
that, does the common council approve funding for ongoing, is that the housing authority does that by itself?
Only separate funding.
It's
Okay,
a separate
got it.
entity.
Okay.
All right, the wood smoke, we pretty much had a long thing, was a long discussion, that was great. Community launch event, did Julie, you want to say anything about that?
And everyone else.
Oh, okay.
It was good. There were definitely members of the community there. They had, Eli had said this thing about the human body being like the most effective detector of pollutants, and I think that was a feeling that was well shared by the community. Yeah, I think there were maybe 10 people there, and probably half of them were connected already to the city. Or maybe 5 people that were, but that's something. And I've been sending people for this with these really nice sheets.
That's great.
Yeah.
I signed up for Just Air over the weekend, and been getting my text messages, including one after the fireworks on July 4th. It's like, things are pretty high right now.
Yeah.
See it comes through right away.
That's really interesting. Do you remember what time the fireworks came through?
I took a picture.
Yeah, it's like
I took a
after
screenshot.
10, maybe 10:50,
It was
right?
late, because I remember Eli saying, they don't send it late. But then I was like, that's pretty late. I remember I took a screenshot of it. It was it.
It's July 4th,
Was that Saturday?
Friday.
No,
That's
Friday,
Friday, yeah.
unless it was Saturday morning.
Oh, Friday. Saturday.
It could have been Saturday.
Friday at 9:30 in the
Friday.
morning was the first one I got. Friday at
10:30.
yeah,
Air quality is
And then-
unhealthy for sensitive groups.
and then Friday at 10:31. Yep,
And then Saturday morning, it was back to normal.
by pretty early, actually. I was
7:52.
surprised. Yeah.
Wow, well, thank you for sharing that. Do we have anything on the municipal renewable energy?
It's done. If you want a printed copy of it, it's here. There's one there, there were 4 there, if some of you know it's all right. And then there. Get more, you get one. And I've submitted it to, or sent it to the county. I don't know if the county's doing anything with them or not. We don't, they aren't adopting it or anything. It's just local policy. Read that here.
Going to the Department of the Environment or Planning at the county.
No, to, the legislative.
Sustainable committee of energy environment.
Yeah.
So I think we started talking about this because of under zoning.
Yes.
So do we have anything to do with that or we don't think so? Because I think we sent a letter to the zoning.
I think at this point, the Climate Smart Kingston Commission is doing some zoning
Okay.
evaluation. And I would say that this board doesn't necessarily need to take any action unless maybe they want to support whatever Climate Smart is doing. If there's some sort of communication or something they'll work on. I would say that there's only right now.
Okay. All right, great.
Can I just ask the side, I remember reading and commenting on the earlier version of this report, and I'm just seeing like one of the big changes is the information about the city has begun a thermal energy network strategy planning group, to look into that. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is, and is this group likely to be involved in that in some way?
I can tell you about what it is for sure. A thermal energy network is a system where multiple buildings are interconnected using their waste heat from one another to help to cool and heat each other. As opposed to a district heating and cooling system where it'd be like, this is where your power plant is, whether it's geothermal or otherwise, and then you heat or cool multiple buildings. Thermal energy network is like taking waste heat from certain places and using it to heat or cool other locations. And so for the last, since probably almost a year, a group of city staff and Manhattan Energy Transition folks have been meeting. At first it was bi-weekly and now it's weekly. Every Wednesday at 3:30, and we've met with hundreds of thermal energy network, developers, funders, investors, regulators, communities from all over the US that are doing this. Colleges, communities, utilities, state regulators, Public Service Commission, all these different folks we've met with, to understand what a thermal energy network might look like in the city of Kingston. We have been receiving technical assistance through the Department of Energy's New York, New Jersey on-site technical assistance program. And they have looked at a midtown loop option and a downtown loop option. We've evaluated funding options, we've talked with bond council locally. And all of this is to say that it's complicated, it's not common, it is really expensive, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And you need to have buildings with varied loads in order for this to work. So like everyone needs heat at the same time. And doesn't produce enough excess heat, it's not gonna balance out. So like an asset would be something like the wastewater treatment plant, which right now puts out massive amounts of excess heat, capturing that heat to then utilize in a thermal energy network downtown is great. But what about cooling? We don't have access to cooling. Or like in this area, a hospital would be a system that would have a massive amount of excess heat to offload. But we don't own the hospital. So ownership models we've been looking into. How does this overlap with residential and doesn't it? What is the regulatory impact of all that? So all of this to say, I don't have funding to start a thermal energy network. We haven't talked to any entities in Kingston outside of city entities. Although we did meet with the folks who design Energy Square and Your Place in the Walls. Just about like geothermal as a whole and that kind of system. So we're still in although it's been like 8 months or longer, we're still in our due diligence period to really understand. We haven't gone super public with it because it could go nowhere. We haven't talked to the high school or the hospitals or anybody yet. We don't want to red flag anything that might be nothing. And yeah, that's where we are. Thank you.
I've attended intermittently some of the meetings. I think we covered Ann Arbor. That was one I attended. Rochester, Minnesota, which also has Mayo Clinic, which has a similar situation where they were separate as the same way Health Alliance is, right? And Framingham. Those three that come to mind. I think I may have attended a few others. But I'm not there all the time. Julie's there every Wednesday.
It's a big commitment that isn't currently funded.
Right.
Yeah, really.
Oh, thank you, though, that's great.
No problem.
Because of the issue with time, can we skip down to new business? Let me see. Probably don't have a lot in actual letters. Can D through J, do we have anything in this? Is there much discussion on any of these? Any, let's just go quickly through. City plan review. Organics.
I don't know. We're not gonna
68
go.
tons. 3 families are currently using the program. Last week, the day before 4th of July, the 3rd of July, that's what that is. Highest number yet, 90.95 tons or 1,900 pounds. It's pretty solid. I kind of hope that this next week is even more because of all the watermelon rinds that I'm putting. in
Yes.
folks. So,
But did you say 553?
yes, that is what I said. So that, yeah, that,
We have more.
well, that's the total people who have signed up. I
Oh,
would
all
say
right.
the other way is,
Okay.
it's
Right.
three more than the previous number. So that's just different. Between how people get out.
Well, maybe I
So
shouldn't.
I'll say 560, or what is it, 582,
500.
that's the number you should put in.
Five, okay. That's greater than 570. That sounds good.
Right.
So we're going.
Yeah, go backwards.
Programs.
No one's dropped that.
Right.
Right, we're good.
All right, anything on the business part? Anything on Midtown driving? Let me see, I went to a meeting that was at Energy Square, very poorly attended. And we just kind of went through there were a bunch of poster boards where they had summarized everything that they were thinking about and people commented on the poster boards, but you know, the various topics like transportation and engaging youth and housing, things like that. So their report's gonna come out soon. Kingston Point Park improvement? No. LWRP and tree preservation. We have not heard anything on that, right?
No, I've tried to follow up with Karen to see if there's a latest version. I don't see
Yeah,
it.
and I,
Haven't
he
heard
went
back
to
from
this
Brent.
other,
Haven't seen it in the common council communications yet. Could be buried somewhere, and I just, I haven't seen
anything on native plantings, pollinators? Wetlands, I would say. Right now, I think we're. The planning department is aware of it, so the engineers should be aware of it. But we probably could still do some more outreach at some point. Outreach distribution list, it sounds like this is. So we were gonna give, Brendan and I were gonna work on the website and let Julie know when it was. We have not done it.
No.
All right, let's try to get that
Yeah.
done by, maybe by August, maybe by September.
Yeah.
Scenic Hudson River Cities,
They have been gathering information. They're doing a bio blitz next week at Forsyth Park. And once I have the information, they would like to open it up to folks. I'll let you all. The cameras are up and that's all I know so far.
Where did they end up putting the cameras?
Sent me the location. I don't really remember offhand, but I can get you that information for you.
and when's the bio blitz next
It's like the
Saturday?
18th, but I don't really have the details yet.
Oh, that would be fun.
Let's see what I do about it. I can just tell you what I do that right now. I have it in my calendar, a hold from 9 to 1:30 on the 18th at Forsyth Park. But
And can volunteer, community people come and
yes,
help?
but I don't know the details, so I don't even want to just say people come in at that time. I will let you know when I have more information.
Okay. So bio blitz is when knowledgeable people come to an area, kind of spread out and see and report what they see, right?
Yeah, it's like a plant animal scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's fun. Okay, packaging reduction and recycling infrastructure act. That went to the common council, correct?
Yes,
But it didn't get anywhere in the
from the state.
state legislature this year.
Correct.
No, I don't remember where. It was a resolution in support. But I didn't know if it ever made it to the common council.
It made to the common council and it was adopted.
Okay. All right, so the landfill leachate resolution. What happened was kind of between our meetings. I developed a draft resolution, took it to the public safety meeting. And So today is, thank you, so. So they meet the fourth Wednesday. So I did something the fourth Wednesday in May, and then I went back in June and it was in front of them again, and that they voted on it, and they voted unanimously to support that, and then it goes to the common council.
Awesome,
So,
nice.
and all it is to ask the DEC to make some changes. Yeah. So that's where that is. Okay, and then any questions on that? Okay, neighborhood notification. Did I ever send the neighborhood notification stuff out to anyone? Because, okay, I'm just gonna give you, I apologize for that. So there has been for neighbor notification, there's a state law that a county has to opt into, and it basically says that if the county opts into it, then you are you can be notified when someone puts herbicides down
Oh,
on their property. And, pardon?
You have to be.
You
Person
have,
has to notify the neighbors.
so there's two things. And one is that if you put, and the size is 100 square feet, which is anyone's front yard, 10 by 10. It's a really small area. And they are supposed to be putting the signs up. And if they're, if the homeowner as a person is putting up, they are supposed to be putting signs up. And then the second thing is if a professional is doing it, then you actually have to write the professional. You have to, and this is where nothing's happening, I would say. You can write to be, you can be on a list where the applicators have to notify you. And it has to be just like adjacent property stuff. So it's not like, it can't be like 3 doors down. But the point of this is that it's actually nothing's happening. The county, Ulster County adopted this years ago, and there used to be someone at the Department of the Environment that kind of did the work on this and followed up and everything. But it is in the health department. And it is in the health departments. They are the ones that are supposed to be doing this. So I guess we could ask them actually to do more. This came up because I was on a water quality coordinating committee meeting. And I said, there is this law. So if you're worried about like some kind of pollutions going into our water, this is one thing that is just a little minor thing that, you're making people aware. So,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
So this, I mean, Ulster County already has the pesticide notification, right? This is an additional one for herbicides, or
No, this is.
it's an enforcement problem?
It's a pesticide. I call it herbicide.
Okay.
Sorry, it is.
No.
pesticide. Yeah, I'm sorry, it is pesticide.
Okay.
But it's not like, it doesn't apply to trees. I think it's only like lawn, it's pretty much lawn chemicals.
Right.
So, why am I telling you this? I guess I want to make sure you're aware there is this law, and then maybe we could contact the county and ask them. I can follow up with the guy who said he would check into it. It's really just like, no one's putting any resources into it.
Right.
And so what they're supposed to do, like if you go and buy Roundup, you should get those little yellow things, put them up, but people are not the little yellow signs.
Right.
And so the difference is like if a professional applies this stuff, they put the signs up. But unless you're signed up to be notified, they don't have to. So it's just a way of kind of like, embarrassing your neighbors or, letting your neighbors know that, And then the other thing I just want to say, also for you to be aware of, is that only homeowners can apply herbicides to a property. If it's a business, the business owner can't, they have to hire. So they're not supposed to be,
Unless they have pesticide applicator certification.
yeah, unless they're certified. And the DEC they regulate and they license the pesticide. So anyway, so I want to make sure you're aware of it. You can just Google this, it's on the DEC website. And I think it's on the health department website, the state health. But it's like a law that was really cool like 20 years ago and they just haven't kept it up.
Yeah.
So, and I'll check with the county department as well, if they've taken any action.
Yeah, I was gonna say, any of my neighbors putting up signs, they're always spraying stuff. So.
My neighborhood has signs every 30 days, everyone but mine here.
Because they.
It looks like, come to the Roosevelt parking.
Are they scared of you? Is that the problem? I mean, is that why they're following through?
Because they're professionals.
Oh, yeah, but they're all hiring the same person, and the same person comes in every 30 days.
Oh, right, because they have to spray it, of course. At least they're putting the signs up, though.
But you're not being notified.
Every 30
Is your-
days.
But every 30 days, it starts in April and goes through the fall.
Wow.
I've never actually done know when they're doing it. It was just every day. And it's like multiple street, they almost have the same exact person because they all get to sign on the same day.
Wow.
And the thing about the signs is they don't bother to put the date down.
Oh,
I also
yeah.
don't know who takes the signs down. Cause I've never seen anyone putting the signs up and I've never seen them, it's like Willy Wonka. I've never seen them do it, I've never seen the signs go up, I've never seen the signs go down, they're just there.
But it's supposed to be up for a certain amount of time so that, but the thing is if they don't date it, then you have no idea if it was a minute ago
Yeah.
or, so those are all, it's just awareness and yeah, that's the kind of thing we could do more work on too. Yeah. So I was ready to talk about this last month. and didn't. Okay, so now we have CFA grant letters of support. The consolidated funding application happens every time of this year. We usually do at the end of July, and the city and they call it consolidated because instead of just like applying to the NYSERDA and then to DEC and then to parks and to whatever, they consolidate all the state funding into one thing, into one application. And so it's no vacation in the summer for the hardworking that's people that want grants. Because it's due July, whatever, 30th, coming out there. So we are gonna put in some letters. We're gonna vote to support some of these grants.
So there are 3 that are before you all, you should all have a packet of 3, there were.
These are 3 different sheets. Yeah, okay. And I'm gonna give each person.
Wait.
Am I
Just
doing
take
this?
the,
Oh, you did this differently. Okay, give me all this back in exactly the order. Okay,
Here, I just.
how many sheets of paper are there in each?
3.
There are 3.
One that starts with Amanda, one that starts with Walter, 2 that start with Walter. They were arranged in groups of 3.
Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers. Okay, here is a packet for someone. Well, yeah. I'm. Corrected by my mistake. Okay. Okay, great. Are there a couple other Amandas loosely hanging out? Yeah. Okay, here are 2 Walters. Here are 2. Okay, even Amanda. This is a double Walter. Are these 2?
It's a Walter, 28.
Yep.
The Walter.
Okay, great. I have 2 of those also. Are there 2 Amandas?
So the CFA.
It's all Amanda's.
These are Amanda.
They're all Amanda's.
Oh, you misspelled Secretary Mosley's on the smart growth one. In the dear Secretary Mosley.
Okay, so we'll start with the Amanda one. I'll read these each and discuss them, and then you guys can decide whether to do it vote as a slate or not at all, or yes. So this is a grant opportunity for climate smart communities. It is for Roundup Creek flood protection and emergency preparation. This is a project, and it states, in this case, if you were to sign off on it, it would say on behalf of CAC. I am proud to support the City of Kingston's 2025 New York State CFA for the Roundup Creek Flood Protection and Emergency Preparation Project. Funding from the DEC Climate Smart Communities Program will allow the city to improve Kingston's emergency response and flood adaptation decisions in order to improve public safety and rectify historical inequities. To achieve this goal, the city plans to create a local, detailed, high-resolution model that can simulate the river flow from the Roundup Creek and the combined floodwater flows across the local landscape. This will markedly enhance public safety in Kingston and the viability of its waterfront businesses. Better forecasting of weather events and their potential impact on flooding will allow for valuable equipment to be raised out of the reach of the water, traffic to be diverted from closed roads, and operating procedures to be revised. Sandbags can be deployed to divert water, and docks and boats can be secured. A more comprehensive understanding of the disparate water flows converging on Kingston will vastly improve the effectiveness of preparing for surges. And then you say something like, per the something that the city has, climate action plan, or probably from the public task force report, or something related to the CAC, we agree that this should happen because of X. And then on behalf of the CAC, I strongly and enthusiastically urge the DEC to support the City of Kingston's request for funding. So a little bit more color on the grant writer on this. I'll be the project manager on it. And it would be working with the Stevens Institute to take their Stevens Flood Advisory System that is currently regional and make it Kingston specific exactly for us. So they will be creating specific forecasting for Kingston. And beyond that, automating the work that I currently do to alert people when there's flooding.
Very cool. So they're gonna use a high resolution computer model, and are they gonna use, do they have any more data? Like, are they gonna use the river the gauge or anything?
And the Roundup stream gauge is now present.
Yeah,
Nice.
I looked for it the other day. I mean, I watched it,
It's at the Maritime Museum.
yeah,
And
it's right under,
June
it's
20th.
basically right under the bridge, right outside the door of the barn. And it's a little brown square building.
Yeah, so they're gonna be using our actual data and creating actual flood forecasts for us
Um,
and an alert system. And it's possible that we're gonna be working into this grant emergency preparation for heat advisories as well. It's due on July 31st, so ish.
Is the historical inequities portion of this referring to like Pankaki, or is that a major part of the preparation project?
I would say we haven't really ironed out what that is going to be yet. I would say inequities currently, if I were to state it, would be the fact that people who have access to effective communication systems and networks are getting messaging better currently. I don't know what we will do to make that change. But I would also say that yes, Pankaki is historically and even currently built up on the extractive industry, and so it's not necessarily the wealthiest area of the city. But
Is that part of like grant? Like, is that one of the check boxes, I guess? Sorry.
I don't know that information yet.
Okay.
We the way the CFA letters work and this whole process works is we need to get approvals from the common council like 2 months before we even apply. We have to get letters of support done like weeks or months before we even have the grant written. And so we tend to put a vague description of what we think is going to be the case. And if the letter of support is big enough and comprehensive enough, then that will cover whatever we end up articulating in the grant. That said, if this letter is coming from CAC and there's any words in it that you don't like, there's 100% availability to change anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's said in this letter, to answer your question or where I think you're getting at, there are no words in this letter that if you take them out, you won't get the grant. It's the point of the letter. The specific words we use.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay,
Do you want me to keep going or do we go individually?
why don't we do them individually, just,
Thanks.
all right. A motion to suggest that we write, or to, okay, us writing a letter of support for the non-repeat flood protection project.
And motion.
Okay, second,
Yeah,
All right.
I second that.
any discussion?
Yes, actually, so, should we maybe divvy out who's going to add this little bit of flavor to this?
Ooh, yeah, you can do it, I'll sign it.
Okay, yeah, no, that's what I was getting at. I don't wanna,
Yeah,
let's do this,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
that's fine, I mean, we were very involved with the waterfront flooding task force, and so that, this is, and I worked with Stevens when they did the model of the entire Hudson, so,
Oh, awesome.
yeah, but,
Well, do-
yeah, I don't have that much to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
it's, yeah, but, oh, Julie, when do you need it?
I was just looking. So. I would need it by the 25th.
Okay. And you can just send it to me and I can add my signature, a lot of copies, stuff like that. All right, so in that case, well, we still have to, so is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Right.
Great.
The second one, we'll do the one that says TR Gallup Park improvements.
Mhm.
So this is a Department of State grant for TR Gallup project improvement, park improvements project. Just so you know, not that it should matter, but I'm not the grant writer or the project manager on either of these. This one would be probably going through engineering. This is on behalf of CAC. I'm pleased to support the New York State CFA funding for U.S. local waterfront modernization program for TR Gallup Park Improvements Project. The goal of this project is to correct deficiencies in the park that prevent the city from fully realizing its potential as a creekside open space for community gatherings and as a place to picnic, play chess, or enjoy viewing the flow of boat traffic flowing by. By bringing the park up to date with ADA compliant restrooms and pathways, renovating the gazebo, repaving and regrading the parking lots, adding new plantings, and replacing uneven pavers throughout, park will draw more visitors and special events. So a little bit of color. The patio, that's the upper part by like ship to shore, that's like sinking into the earth and doing all sorts of weird things, and all the steps down that are fully deteriorating. This would redo all of that. And it would make the bathroom ADA compliant, replace that gazebo, and redo the parking lots and some other plantings.
How much is that expected to cost?
I don't have that in front of me. Let me think about where I would find that right now. Okay, let's see. Okay, I do know bear with me 1 second.
Right, so this is a little bit. For the CAC, it's just providing a park, basically.
This is, right, and you could certainly be saying, just so you know, I didn't write any of these letters. I was asked by the, grants office to bring this to CAC. You could very easily say, fully wordsmith them. You could say, this has nothing to do with CAC, it's not a purview. You could say, yes, we wanted to.
Are you gonna put any more trees?
Frankly, I know the words that you're reading here. I know those words. Okay, so this grant is for 2 million.
Oh.
The creek project is 500.
Oh, thank you for saying this, like, this one doesn't seem like it's really a CAC issue, although if they get the money, then I'm sure we'd have something to say about the plantings that they might put in, but I just don't see why they need a letter from us.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a park, it's good for people to be outside, it's. So that's why I would say. Be nice to do, but it's not.
They also they still use that. It's not like they don't use it. So
Right,
see stuff happening there all the time.
Yeah, they're just saying it's
in terms
different.
of preserving our limited bandwidth for the things that really require a specific
Yes,
CAC focus, I would say that one doesn't seem to
right. Right,
stand there.
so do you want to vote to reject it or to?
Well, you don't have to reject it, right?
No,
'Cause it's
no.
we just don't need to resolve to do it, I
Okay,
think, right? 'Cause
yeah, okay.
That gonna be a problem for everything.
no problem.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the third for you, from, this is all from the Department of State, this is for the comprehensive plan update. So I'm going to CAC, I'm pleased to support the CFA comprehensive plan update project. Funding from Department of State Smart Growth Communities Program will allow the city to revisit and update Kingston 2025, which was approved by the Common Council in 2016. Prior to that time, the city had not updated its plan since 1961. Passage of Kingston 2025 is a top priority, Mayor Mill. We'll talk when. I think somebody that just watched my own last name. Like I never read it all out. The time took on when he first came to office in 2016. Since that time, he has led many initiatives to support the goals, policies, and objectives related to land use, historic, nature and historic resources, housing, transportation, and public facilities that were part of the plan. These include development and approval of a new form-based zoning code, the 2030 climate action plan and open space plan, pedestrian and bicycle master plan, and the community preservation plan, among others. These efforts have and continue to serve as a blueprint for improvements across the city. Now it is time to examine accomplishments, reassess existing conditions, and identify the next steps needed to continue improving the city of Kingston in the future. This is self-explanatory, update the comp plan.
Yeah. Well, I think we were very involved in the original comp plan. And we don't want to wait 50 years or 60 years next. So, and I mean, that's,
So many of these subordinate plans are things that we wrong opinions on and given input on. So this-
right, or we even developed, so, yeah. Yeah.
All
So,
right, I'll make a motion that we should write a letter to the Secretary of State supporting the Smart Growth Communities application for the Kingston Comprehensive Plan update.
right,
I'll second
right. All in favor, oh, discussion. Okay.
Who's
Who
going
wants to write the flavor? Bring flavors now.
I'll do it. Yeah.
now? Are we gonna vote?
All right, all in favor.
Aye.
We have okay, great. I knew that was gonna take some time, so thank you so much on that. And then, we're just gonna go to open discussion and then we can go through reports.
Great. Okay, so I have something to talk about, propose, unless someone else wants to go. Okay. I went to the Climate Smart meeting last month, and I was really impressed with shape of the meeting. They had all created these breakout groups to do some research and bring back this bring back some pollen to the hive, I guess, to work on their zoning code stuff. I thought it was really great, and I know they're like more of a project-based board than this one. But something I did like about the shape of their meeting is that it seemed like they had just a couple things that they were putting a lot of effort into, and I think that seemed exciting to me. And I just kind of wanted to test the waters to see if this council was interested in, I guess, putting some more effort to specific projects. We kind of have we have a long agenda. We have a lot of little things we do, and those are all great. But maybe we could all really double down on this air quality thing for a couple months and see what we can do with all of our sustained efforts insofar as we have the capacity to do that for this council.
Sounds like what you're proposing is to be more goal oriented instead of process oriented.
This is kind of, yes, I think maybe that's a good way to put it. And I know we had talked about months ago, there was this idea of doing a retreat of sorts where we could talk about what kind of goals we would like to pursue. That's not necessarily something I'm proposing, but it is something that I propose we talk about. And yes, I think that that's a good distinction to make. It's not necessarily one that I think we should do, but it's something that I think maybe we could talk about, especially since this council has changed a bit in the last 6 months.
Would we be able to do that with the time frame that we have? As in, how many meetings we have per year? Focusing more on projects instead of being able to go through an entire list of things, I suppose.
Right.
Or having that in our quota, I suppose.
I mean, I think that am I correct that the other, Climate Smart also meets the same frequency, right?
Right, their purpose for the most part is, I mean, they have a mission that we do at the bottom, letterhead and all that, but what they're doing is implementing a climate action plan. We're doing
Right.
policy.
Mhm.
So at least that's how I explain it. When people ask me, you may want to try and explain it a little differently.
Yeah,
That's usually how I explain the differences between the two boards.
but when you said they have breakout groups, are they doing work outside the meetings?
They have a joint work.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
Okay. So we're doing some work outside.
right.
Most of you are doing a lot more work than for example, I am. That's very
Yeah,
very bandwidth abilities outside of meeting. I say, I don't think there's anything about the way the meetings are currently structured that prohibits anyone from bringing a project forward and having it added and it's just a question of, I don't know, working it out with you ahead of time to make sure that we get through the rest of things more quickly. But so, for example, I'm not sure that we really have something in mind for what's a major policy gap that we want to fill. That's a discussion we haven't. Instead it's okay, here are the policies that are in place or things that come down that we want to support or not. But is there something we want to propose together and sort of work on and develop further? I think that would be really interesting and exciting.
Yeah.
I know I have very limited ability to contribute to that outside of this time I spent here. But I think that would be a wonderful thing for us to do. So I support the idea in theory.
Right.
I will say that, a couple things. Raymond, do you have anything to say? Some.
It was supposed to. Trick question.
Okay. So with the water, with the air quality, there was one person that was really involved in it. And we had a lot of discussion, you know, the research was presented every week, which is kind of what you're saying. And then, and that there was also, you know, subcommittee that worked that. There were a couple people on a subcommittee that worked outside the frame. And then the other thing is that we worked really hard on the community preservation plan. So we've done all the land use stuff, really, and now like the community preservation plan, that's off in another organization, right? So we're not following. So right now we really have, I think that's why I proposed something in January, which I didn't follow up on, because, you know, it passed in November. And the community preservation plan, and now what's our next step? Because we can respond to the, you know, the planning board things and we can serve on all these other advisory committees that we're on, right? But again, like, yeah, if we want to really change policy on air quality, or, you know, making sure that only native plants are planted or something like that. I don't know, you know, working towards, you know, other things, trees. Now we have an urban forester, you know, that's amazing. So I agree that we can do more than kind of react to some of these things. So I think it's good.
I think if the comp plan, grant comes through, we're gonna be
Yeah,
up to here with the comp plan
right.
for a period, however long it
Yeah, but that
lasts.
could be
Not gonna be
like,
like the last, one, it's only an update, but
yeah,
still.
but that could be in 2 years, right? Or 1 year, or, right?
It would probably start, well, the awards happen in December,
Yeah.
so the grant would be in effect next year.
Yeah. But there's time, and also even though that we're a small group, we can take advantage of people's experience or interests and
Right.
capabilities, abilities, interests, those things. So that said, I'm not sure, except for the air quality, what we could easily start, you know.
Well, I mean, we could take some time to see if there are any other things that have been on our radar that maybe could excite people, and then say, like, what if we just give ourselves like a 3 or 4 month short turnaround, small kind of project, maybe relating to the air quality or something else.
Or the fact that we have to do urban forester would be like, that's an opportunity to look into like what we're missing, or, you know, what new things can we work on with him.
Right.
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah.
And that could give us flexibility so that when the comp plan comes through, then we're not overcommitted.
And we were really, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen with the local waterfront revitalization program, you know, because we really wanted to get it done, and, you know, it included SOPAs and things like that, so,
Yeah,
but I don't know,
that's gonna be up to the planning.
yeah. Right. We can always comment, anyway, but, yeah. Yeah, so there could be, we could do stuff on heat island effect, we could do things on getting people out and, you know, importance of nature, that kind of thing. Which, anyway. All right, so what should we do as the next step?
Well, I don't know, maybe I would propose that we come back next time with some ideas, but some of those short-term goals we might try to pursue and take. I mean, I don't know. I know everyone's super busy, especially, right? So I don't want to like, it's not gonna say everybody, but, I don't necessarily recommend that we take time outside of the regularly scheduled meeting to have like a long discussion about this, but maybe we could, I don't know, take 30, 45 minutes next time to talk about how we want to orient ourselves. I don't know if that sounds like it makes sense. I don't know.
It's more likely to happen than us taking a retreat together to
Yeah,
Yeah,
figure this out.
right.
That's the way the Climate Smart does it also. They set a meeting, they say they set a time period, they say this is the amount of time, we're gonna talk about it. What are the goals, what do people want to see get accomplished, put them on the table. And then the following meeting is how are we going to get to those goals? And the following meeting is who's going to do this.
right. That's a good one. Who's going to do it? Okay, so we just need to have a facilitated discussion, or like, in other words, we can go around and brainstorm or. So in the meantime, we could actually ask you all, and please think of, how about, let's think about it, put it on the agenda for August with the idea of, thinking of some things that we could be involved in, so it can be, something within our scope. Oh, yes, within our scope. I just want to remind you also that because we have completed our open space index, we could actually become a board, and we could discuss that as one thing. And the board, if we've decided we don't want to be a board basically in the past, but we should always bring it up again. And if you're a board, then everything that comes through the planning department has to come to us too. So it's a very different CAC, because it's not a CAC, it's a CAB. And it means like we're looking at the details of site plans and stuff.
Then it goes from being advisory to regulatory.
Right. So, we could transition back to a CAB and then, find new people that want to be in the CAB. So, yeah. So it's much more responsibility. Not that we're shirking our
I don't
responsibility.
think it's
But we
more
felt like,
regulations.
we feel like the planning part, I think from past discussions, we feel like the planning department is taking our comments and listening to them and not, but they're not, we don't have any teeth, we're not regulatory, so we just, just make suggestions. All right, I'm good with that. Okay. All right, how are people feeling about time? Should we go through reports and updates and then let Brendan? I think Brenda brought this up so he wouldn't have to give his talk. I don't know.
Do you have a talk to give stuff?
He's supposed to give his key capstone, but we were.
Oh, I see.
I mean, but maybe that could be something that, I don't know, want to pursue organics more in some capacity. I don't know. I'm happy to give that talk anytime, but.
I'm getting very tired.
So I would suggest that since it isn't super timely, it's all out.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Are there any other communications? Are there any good events or?
I have an announcement. The Army Corps just uploaded something on the New York, New Jersey hats. They're gonna be having more sessions. So, the last update came out sometime, it was after December and it was before January 20th. And then there was nothing, so it kind of looked like, maybe, they'd gotten pushed off the budget or something, well, but no, they're still around. So, yeah, I'll follow up on that when they're, ready to do these things. They're usually on Zoom. Occasionally they're in person, but usually it's on Zoom. So,
Right.
You said hats.
oh, yes, it's the, New York, New Jersey Harbor and tributary study. This is the storm surge barriers associated, storm surge infrastructure. I think one of the concerns that's come up repeatedly is if if they ever build these things, they'd be used for sea level rise rather than storm surge barriers. And it cuts off the flow of habitat in the water bodies that where they place these things.
The fish can't get through.
Yeah, it's very basic, the barrier. It's a, Stevens Institute's been involved, Woods Hole, a lot of people, the River Keeper, and there's a long list of.
And the reason we're looking at it is because if you dam up, if you dam up the Hudson, the water comes back to us, right? And the effect on the habitat.
The current proposal they were kicking around does not include any specific projects in the Mid-Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
It stops, I think, we're around Piermont, but,
Yeah. All right, I have not done a lot of the Doug Tallamy in Homegrown National Park, but, I have learned a lot about the different plants and how to identify them. So that's all for me. We still don't have anyone on Complete Streets. I think they're doing good work. Public safety. I went to the meeting, the past two meetings, as I said, and talking about the leachate, and I stayed a little bit because they actually had asked the building inspector to come in and talk about building safety, to talk about what they are doing. So it was kind of interesting to me, but they were just kind of making sure that they have enough staff and, what some of the processes are for violations and things like that. So it was nice that they, I'm sure it's reported. Yeah. So one of the things in this kind of weather is I learned was that landlords have to provide heat, but they don't have to provide air conditioners. Yeah, that's more for the tenant. So Kevin Clement Smart.
well, you covered a good portion of it. I'll run you through a couple of specifics. Let's see, Jake Strauss is one of our commissioners on the board. He's been looking at the New York Stretch Code pretty carefully in terms of let me find the minutes and lost them. Yeah, EV readiness and solar readiness. And then the other things, Emily Chesson was also I've lost a minute to find, can't do this off the top of my head, sorry. Yeah, we covered Jake. Okay, so battery storage. Okay, now it's coming back. There's a whole slide pack, which I haven't gone through on this yet, but I have to insert into the minutes. But she was talking about battery storage at the municipal level, including for resilience and energy arbitrage. That sounds like a term that needs a definition that I don't have handy. Can you define that? No. Do you recall? No, okay. Well, we'll get to the bottom of that one before the minutes are done. We reviewed the TENS project, which the thermal energy network a bit, and Julie was just discussing. And we always cover Repair Cafe And gee, it's a really long agenda and a lot of the things there was no update on. I think we did cover the Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act, the same, similar to what we did here. And that might cover it for this, unless there's something that either of you want to add to that.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, okay. The conference on the environment, just to remind you, is October 24th and October 25th. We are still figuring out, the actual speaker, well, we pretty much have all our topics. We're gonna have 3 tracks: energy transition, open space and land use, and circularity, which circularity was way beyond waste management, but it started out as like that. So everything from like biochar to reuse and rebuilding, deconstruction and things like that. And we're gonna, anyway, so I would just say that one of the things we're really gonna need is some people to just help us in the rooms that day, like you would probably attend, but maybe you would, I don't know, be a timekeeper or in some a moderator, yeah, and like that.
What's
So,
the time sign up period for that gonna be?
well, I might just bring a sign up next week, next time, just
Yeah.
so that we, that we actually start knowing, what people can do, because it is a Friday, so if you say, well, I can't even take the day off, or you're planning to take the day off because you know so far ahead of time, then we could definitely use your help. And
I just think we don't need to sign up now, we're gonna talk about it next month.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so we're still working on us, getting a keynote speaker and things like that. Things, and then we are gonna have some field trips. Hopefully, one of them will be to the lawn preserve to go on their technology thing. And then the Environmental Management Council, I actually missed this last one, but Rebecca Martin spoke about the landfill leachate situation, so that was well received. And these guys, everyone at all the CACs are doing amazing work. I just always like to say that, and everything from repair cafes to pollinated gardens to land use. So, all right, community preservation.
Yeah, so we're still in the learning phase. We were examining CPFs from Massachusetts. Eli on that board brought a lot of good information. So we're looking at how much money they've earned, and what projects they spent. And then Julie pulled a lot of data from the city records about sold in the last 5-6 years. I forget the exact time frame. Yeah, we're gonna lots of data and turning
Property, like open space property or?
all property sales
Oh, the sales.
from, the last 5 or so years.
Oh, nice.
There were a couple of questions that came up in that meeting about, cutoff date of December 15th. There were some sales that looked like they should be included, and several board members asked about that. I looked at the number of them up, and it looked like the county got it right, the county clerk. Some of these were old, even took a while for them to be posted or recorded rather than the county. But they were prior to December 15th. So far, everything looked exempt that I've checked looks 100% correct.
No, great. Good for doing that. The tree commission, by the way, also does not have a representative, but I feel like the urban forester is going to all those meetings, so he's doing a good job of informing them. It meets at 5 o'clock, right before this meeting, and they're meeting over there so they don't take our room. Right, they're going to, but, no update on that. How about the Hudson Valley Allowance for Housing?
Well, we had, we're meeting Thursday.
Okay,
So, for June 9th, we had an event, at the Mason Hill, Land and Black Hands Farm. Followed by an event at Keegan Ales. Julie was there, the mayor was there, Bartek was there from the city, and from all over the Hudson Valley was there, which is part of our group, and then a lot of guests were there as well. So I think it went pretty well, and the next steps are sort of, on them, would be, well, we didn't get the policy in for this term, so we'll see where we're at with that. Pete Lopez and Carly from Scenic Hudson are both the policy point people on this. And we'll have a further update after Thursday.
all right, great, thank you. The, Steve Rosenberg, who's one of the I forget what they call him,
Convener.
co-convener, and anyway, representatives of the Hudson Valley Alliance for Housing and Conservation are gonna give a talk at the NICEAC meeting. Okay, lower surface capacity building. We are, this is really this is process, and so we're just kind of moving slowly about, how to engage people. The idea again is to kind of set up some visions and missions and some structure for a group that hopefully would be basically a watershed group. But I also am getting emails about something else where they're starting to talk again about taking some of the debris out of the creek so that it's more navigable. But I don't know where they're gonna get that money, so.
There's an RFP, you got that, right?
No, no.
How many?
Oh, that was, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So, to get some of the debris out, but that's all. Yep. So we can now go home and hopefully not be hot.
Is there anyone that's aware of the not being able to attend the August 12th meeting?
I'm attentive.
You're attentive. Okay.
September's a definitely.
The number's definitely no for me as well,
Oh, good. Okay.
but I will be here in August.
Also, the watershed, the Watershed Coalition is having a roundtable in early August.
August 11th.
August 11th, right? Yeah. And that is it in Kingston? I don't know why I thought it was. Anyway, so that's all the Hudson River Watershed Alliance all over, like, all over the Hudson. Anyway. So that's an announcement. Okay. All right. Motion to adjourn.
So
Okay, second. Okay,
Aye.
thank you. for your-
Emily Vale is, it's gonna be at the Restorative Justice Center.
That's what I thought.
I'll put it in here.
It's kind of interesting.